guys, and we think it may be because one of your phones may be too close to your mic. If you would just distance that from your mic, it might help.
About now.
I think that's better. Andy is here, he's working on making sure that the audio gets adjusted.
All right, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Green,
Here.
Vice Mayor Inskeep,
Here.
Councilwoman Hanshaw, here, Councilman Lehman,
Here.
Councilman Tarchenberger,
Here.
Trevor Ward, Public Works Manager,
Here.
Chief Gray,
Here.
Michelle Leonard, Assistant Clerk,
Here.
City Attorney Andrew Hand is attending by Teams. And the agenda for this meeting was posted on the city's website and City Hall bulletin board on Friday, February 6, 2026.
We will now go on to the regular agenda. This is, City Council agenda item 1A, discussion railroad ties. At this point in time, as I usually do, I will refer to, Councilwoman Valerie Hatchett for her comment.
In all honesty, I think I have the same comment as, and I was waiting to hear the information tonight that we're gonna be bringing forward. I will commend the staff for working 7 days, a week, and I just want everybody to know that we do take this extremely serious. Again, this is our hometown. This is our legacy. This is my legacy. This is, my family's been here for, I know y'all heard that story, over 100 years. So, for anybody to ever say that we don't have some skin in the game, please know this is where I want my great-great-grandchildren to still be playing in the Rainbow River and being called river rats. So we will definitely be working every way we can to make sure this gets taken care of. Thank you. And I'm always open. Please email me. I will comment and get back with you as fast as I can. So thank you very much.
Yes.
I have no comment. She pretty much said it all, and I think we all feel the same way.
Thank you, sir. Tim?
Originally thought this meeting was going to be, today there was I think the mayor get us up to speed on that. This meeting was going to be about an injunction that the county would like us to partner with them on, and file so that necessary actions are taking place by the particular parties. And it looks like based on, that's changed up a little bit. As far as whether we're going to decide tonight to be part of that injunction. So there'll be more information, I guess, coming from there that didn't. However, with that said, I apologize to everybody, actually just a little bit before the fire, I've been comatose type setting, I'm not kidding. I'm out of it, and was able to listen in to the first meeting this afternoon with everybody that's involved with the cleanup of this, the process, et cetera, et cetera. And I want to commend everybody, Chief Ron, Mandy, I promise you, because I've been on the phone with them 7 days a week, they've been working on this thing nonstop. The FDEP has stepped up with, I remember Jim's last name was Sam. I haven't spoken with Sam yet. I spoke with Aaron from Orlando. I'm trying to get a handle on who's who with this whole process and who has what roles, et cetera, et cetera. So we got that narrowed down to have a general idea of all that. Take a look at their plan that CSX submitted to DEP. We received that this afternoon. Looking through it real quick. It's a generalized plan. Haven't had a chance to mark it up yet, but it will. And it's, the county has made comments on the plan, and Sam, who was running this from the FDEP, has this in front of him, and they still have to do reviews before they're going to approve it. I don't think this is going to be the final version. Myself, I don't see that it captures everything that's needed to be captured in it, but, we'll work with that. As with, I'm gonna give everybody 2-second version of my background. I don't wanna do this old man retired stuff on you information. Okay. I come from the nuclear industry, 40 years in the nuclear power plant industry, well familiar, well trained with emergency situations, et cetera, et cetera. Spent the last 25 years doing project management, huge projects well north of $100 million. Burton Cast, bringing in 500 plus contractors, every discipline from doctorates to engineers to you name it, to overhaul these power plants. So I'm used to herding cats, used to being tapped on the shoulder, come in and see why our project's going south, come in why our last project goes south, et cetera. So I'm just taking a look at this from that viewpoint. My entire goal is we have what we have. We were making good progress until the fire started. So that's water behind under the bridge. We have what we have now. This is what we got to deal with, and we need to deal with it maturely, and we need to deal with it pragmatically. So we are at our very first stages of I'll call cleanup, get the remaining ties out of there, et cetera, et cetera. And so on the first call this morning, listening to everybody speak, just trying to fill it all out. And like many projects, that not starting out 100% gelled, okay? Everybody's out there, rumor control's wild, so it's like not anybody's ever heard these two things. I'll just give you an example. They're out there loading trucks, with intentions to try to get, instead of sitting around doing nothing, I think everybody knows they got like 12, 14 cars of railroad ties out here over the weekend. Excuse me. They're out there this morning loading up a semi truck with ties in the semi truck. And it appears, we haven't confirmed this, but it appears that maybe somebody has been trying to get ahead of themselves and consolidate the ash pile, move the ash pile around. Okay, what's happening out there is, with that said, is with the semi truck out there and the loading operations, naturally it's stirring up dust. We cannot confirm whether the semi truck and the forklifts and stuff that load the semi truck, is it running through the contaminated area, spreading the contamination, i.e. going to make the original contaminated footprint even larger, send stuff airborne with the winds that we have, because there's nothing getting wet down or anything like that. On the phone call, we brought up that concern. They immediately called out to the field and stopped all activities. The sampling has been done, the 12 samples have been taken last week. That was basically to determine what site and how this material can be disposed of, the ash pile. Those samples are supposed to be in this afternoon, and then the determination as to what can be done. They have the site chosen, now it's a matter of how you can transport this stuff, all that kind of stuff. Okay, but what I'm coming back to is, we cannot be out there spreading this stuff around and moving all this when we don't even know what's in this yet. So I took the action, stopped all activities out there, so we don't make the situation even worse. Now, when I go to the higher level, take a look at that, okay, the comment I put out is, that tells me that there's no on-site controls, there's no on-site oversight that understands what they can and can't do. Okay, had a conversation, Mandy and I had a conversation with Craig, actually on his way into this meeting tonight, he's not gonna land in Gainesville, we're landing until 4, so good possibility he's gonna be a little bit late, stuck in traffic type thing. Explain the situation to Craig. I believe he's the Vice President of CSX, is that correct?
That's correct. Just for the record, his name is Craig Camuso. and he is the vice president, one of the vice presidents of CSX Corporation.
You know, it had enough time to explain that, you know, message to him, and basically what got back to him is got a text, hey, this meeting got kind of ugly, blah, 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 so after he reached out, hey, what's going on? The meeting was not ugly by any means. It was no doubt that we were serious, okay, that we cannot be out there stirring up this fire. And it needs to stop right now. They made that happen. Craig understands, and when I explained to him, when I look at it from a higher level, it looks like there's not enough on-site controls over there, that there needs to be oversight. There needs to be oversight out there that is not just law enforcement, but there needs to be oversight out there that understands what the process allows and does not allow. So if somebody starts out there moving the dirt pile, you got your operating engineers on your bulldozers and your heavy equipment stuff, their job is to move. And they're gonna do that the very best they can do. But you need somebody out there with the experience and understands the process, that when they're out there getting a little bit zealous or a little bit premature, they run out there, stop, don't do this, okay? It's evident that that needs to be fixed. Craig assured us that would get fixed. Let him speak for himself when he gets here. The other issue that has been brought up is surface ground sampling. Okay, so on the call, listening to, I haven't met the gentleman, I'm sure he's a very good guy, will do the right thing, but he mentioned that this is the CSX rep, or is it a track line? I think Corey or?
CSX.
Okay. This guy's been all over it, been doing a good thing, okay. Didn't care for one of the things he said, not his fault. He's, like many people, these things happen, you get tapped on the shoulder, you jump in the middle of the fight, and, you know, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna say something that maybe, actually, it's a good thing it's said. And then somebody's gonna come back and hop on that type of thing. What this particular issue was the ground sampling. We have known now for a long time that many areas near the fire site, especially with the ways that the winds were blowing, it looks like predominantly the Blue Cove area got most of the fallout from the smoke, the ash, and such. So when asked about where we're at with the ground sampling, he said they were just notified on Friday from the Department of Health to do ground sampling, but they have questions on any clarifications on what they're testing for. All right. When I hear that, the comment is, it's after this phone call, I believe it was 1 o'clock today. My comment to that was, it's afternoon on Monday, 3 days after Friday. Radiation, hazardous waste, contamination, it doesn't take the weekend off. Mother Nature doesn't take the weekend off. And so what I explained to him, again, going to the higher level, by looking down on this, is it screams lack of urgency. Ask Ron, who's running this program for the emergency site for Dunnellon, to connect up with the Department of Health. Ask this gentleman from CSX. So both of them are trying to contact each other. So we're not sitting there playing, oh, I couldn't get a hold of each other, or I didn't know they were trying to get a hold of me. Everybody knows, all right, to get a hold of each other. Now, the last message we got from the health department was, it doesn't fall under them, it falls underneath DEP. So Ron found this information out. That could have gone on for another day. So now it falls into Sam's lap on DEP to get these questions that CSX needs clarified for their contractor. However, with that said, I explained the process for, done a ton of air sampling and all that heavy stuff again, because of my previous one. The equipment and the process to take these ground samples are the same. It doesn't care whether you're looking for chromium, copper, it doesn't care. Just something, basically, real easy version is you're basically vacuuming up stuff, goes through filters, filters catch stuff, then it goes to the lab to get analyzed. There's no reason that somebody's not out there today, especially somebody's not out there tomorrow, okay, gathering up these samples. All right, the only one that really needs the clarification is the lab for what they're looking for, and that can be provided very easily. So it's those kind of glitches that you typically see with any project that gets started. All right, so like all that sounds horrible, you know, it's not good, you know, but the nice thing is we're finding this out on step one, and that's what I explained to Craig. Craig, just look at this as a positive, let's learn these lessons. We're finding this out in step one, and we're finding this out in step one of step one. Let's not find this out in step 1A, or repeat it, step 1A, 1B, etc. It's daggone sure not repeated in step 2, 3, 4, whatever. Craig was very receptive and understood the message, and you take this stuff as we go through this process. There's going to be bumps in this thing as we go through, you know, as I just mentioned, it gets smooths out. And with each one of these bumps, we will learn, we will fix the process, and we will all communicate with each other. So we basically have the city, the railroad, and DEP is the major department from the site. Am I missing anybody?
Marion County Health Department.
Okay. And Marion County. And I'm gonna ask this council is, I'm certainly not gonna lead this project, but I'd like to ask this council if I can attend meetings, use my experience to help guide when I see things that there's holes, there's mistakes, or any of this kind of stuff going on. I've done it for 40 years, folks. I'm not a politician, I'm a project manager and an engineer. So what I've done horribly politically up here, hopefully I can make it up if this council will let me do this, and I'll report out, whatever, through the chain, through Mandy, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not looking to get in the way. I will not get in the way. And if any moment somebody wants to fire me, blink your eyes, and I will not do it. But I just want to give you guys, before the road controls and all the haters out there and everything, you know, go with the, you know, everybody's idiots, everybody can't do this. Although nobody wants to hear this, is typical. This is a horrible situation. What is going to make this situation worse? Okay, so we had the railroad tie storage happen out there. That's a very bad situation. Then unfortunately, they got set on fire, you know, they caught on fire. That took a very bad situation and turned it into a horrible situation. So it didn't get better, it got way worse. Now we're in this phase here. We do not want to get distracted and go down the route of everybody agitating this process. Anybody that sees anything like what I just spoke about here, by all means bring it out, and we will be on it like that. There is no reason not to. With all that said, we can get through this process if we do it methodically, and do it with science, and hold each other accountable. And that is part of, you know, what I was trying to explain with Craig, is that we're going to bring stuff up, we're going to have hard conversations. Nothing has to be nasty. And I'll tell you, if it starts looking like somebody's not cooperating, we'll be right back here in another meeting, and we will explain to everybody exactly what is and what isn't happening, and we will name names. All right, I'm not one to sit back and hide behind this and hit behind that thing. I don't care myself about what anybody thinks of me. I only want the process, want this fixed, and I want to move on to the next issue as fast as we can, because this issue is I know I'm repeating what a lot of people said, this issue is growing by the day. Every time we get a rain, this issue's bigger and bigger. So I leave it with it, the council is okay. Again, I intend by no means to take the lead or run this thing, but I would like to cooperate in the process and use my experience to at least guide the traffic. And serve us all.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Reese?
I look forward to hearing what everybody has to say, everybody that's signed up and wishes to speak. That's all I got.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, we have had one of these, your city staff, from the mayor all the way down to everybody that's involved with our city, has worked diligently in your behalf, and every turn you've taken. We've never been faced with anything quite like this, and it's very difficult to prepare for something like this when you've never faced it. But once again, I want to reassure my fellow citizens that we are making every effort to correct this situation, and we are getting cooperation. There are several areas of cooperation that are taking place. This morning, we had a meeting here at City Hall. I met with the county administration, the county chairman, county commission chairman, and the county administrator and his staff. Along with that, we had our city attorney participating in that meeting, along with the attorney representing the county. Some of the discussion was devoted to the proposed injunction that the Marion County has instigated and have held back on. We discussed that and explained the situation as far as how they think it would affect the situation, the predicament we're in. So, from what I understand, that the injunction would be held in abeyance and would be there to use if we need it. Hopefully, we will not need it. Hopefully, that the CSX Corporation, it will continue the cooperation that they have exhibited up to this point. And I am very pleased with the assistance that I've gotten from the officers of CSX up to this point. So I think it's imperative that our council consider joining the effort of the injunction. I think it's in the interest of the citizens of Dunnellon and all the citizens in Southwest Marion County that we do so. This is not saying that we are going to do it, but it means that the tool is in the toolbox if it's needed. But hopefully we won't. But if we're not prepared, then we're not taking actions that are necessary for the protection of the citizens. So my position that I would urge my fellow council members to agree that we join the effort for the injunction. What the vice mayor spoke about, the conditions, this is very serious and it's going to be addressed. And you've heard his qualifications as far as his project work and things of this nature. I think he'd be an excellent choice to be the contact person as far as following up for our efforts. I'm not qualified to get involved in something like that. And so if you have a council member who serves the city, who has these qualities and these capabilities, I think it would be wise for our council to allow the vice mayor to be our contact person as far as continuing this project. That's where I am. There are two issues that I hope our council will consider would be what I just talked about, and then the first one, of course, is joining the injunction effort from the county. And I'll entertain a motion. We have to have a motion before we have a discussion.
Okay, so I'll make the motion to enter into an injunction with the county.
There's a motion on the floor and a second. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we go into the discussion of that particular item. Now, Valerie.
Yes, sir, thank you. Can you give me some of the details about what exactly the injunction?
Well, it's an effort to ensure that every effort is being made to address the cross-tie issue and the issues relating thereon. In other words, all the way up to where we are now.
But are there any penalties or, so if they're not doing, whatever they might have thought they want, like, if they don't have the soil being tested by tomorrow, and they're gonna say, oh, it's gonna be next Wednesday, will the injunction take care of those issues? I'm just like, I'm sorry, I've never had to do an injunction, so I don't know how this all works. So I guess I need
Well,
some, or maybe our attorney, sure.
Can we see the injunction?
Yes,
Well, that was,
let me.
I haven't seen it.
Well, as this issue unfolds, there will be goals set, as Tim has mentioned, about this process. Once the people who, the DEP and other people involved with this that are doing the testing and supervising this operation, if they determine that goals are not being met and that the issues are not being cared for that are necessary, that's when it's a possibility that injunction could be enforced. So there is a leeway there. If we seek cooperation, we see progress in the efforts, then that's what it is. It's a carrot and a stick. In other words, it's the best we can do to ensure that the city's interests are protected along with the county's interests. So it is a joint effort between the county and the city, but the county has put the injunction together. We would be a partner in that injunction. Does that answer?
Well, kind of. I really would like to read it before I say yes to it, because I wanna make sure it has enough teeth to take a good bite. If we need to have the teeth to take a good bite. And I wanna make sure and I know that the county is, of course, because we are the county, we're part of our county, but I wanna make sure that the citizens of Dunnellon and you and I are, if there needs to be something added for what you and I know would be more personal and needed for our area. Does that make sense?
From reviewing the document and listening to the descriptions today, I think at this point in time, it's the best thing we can do.
Well, until I see it.
Well, that's up to you. You make your own choice in this issue.
Can we have it?
Mayor,
Yes.
could I have leave perhaps to describe the process? And I think that might clear things up a little bit and how this lawsuit will proceed.
Thank you.
This is Andrew Hand, our attorney. Some of the audience is looking a little, where is the voice coming from?
Yes, can you all hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead, Andrew. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what Councilwoman Hampton just explained to you. Our city attorney is not here physically. He is here, so we can conduct a conversation with you. Although you don't see him, he hears what's going on in the meeting, and I'm gonna allow him to speak now to this issue. All right, Andrew, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Essentially, what has been proposed is this would be a lawsuit that would be commenced under Chapter 60 for nuisance abatement. The remedy is an injunction. And so the injunction would be reached as a product of the lawsuit. Basically what happens is first a complaint is filed, and then if the complaint were to be served, the next step would be going to a hearing for a temporary injunction, and then ultimately a permanent injunction with the idea of compelling behavior. It's an injunction, but in this case, it's actually compelling behavior instead of what we usually think of an injunction as stopping behavior. And what the goal would be to force cleanup as well as dealing with a number of issues on the site. So how it works is essentially, pardon me?
Somebody just called.
Oh, okay, no problem. Essentially, the city and the county would be working together with separate causes of action for each entity, or under the same statute. And ultimately, a complaint would be filed that sets for the petition to address the issue, and it wouldn't be served. Ultimately, if CSX is cooperating and there is a timeline that is satisfactory for the cleanup and things are progressing, the complaint could be shared with CSX and simply not served until it's needed to be served. If things weren't going the way that they should go, in that case, the city and the county could serve the actual lawsuit and then go down the path of trying to compel the ameliorative action to fix the problem. And so it's just, as the mayor pointed out, it's a tool to compel the action that is needed if we get to that point. If ultimately things are going the way that they should, per the state, per all the other stakeholders, per the county and per the city, then while the lawsuit would be filed, it simply would not be served. But on the other hand, if the efforts were not satisfactory and not progressing as they should, then the lawsuit could be served and action may be compelled through the courts over a period of hearings as in front of a judge.
Thank you, Andrew. Valerie, does that answer your?
If may I ask one more question?
Yes, absolutely.
Andrew, hey, Valerie. Question, I don't believe this would happen, but would rather ask now than later. If the city was like, hey, we're not satisfied, but the county was like, oh, you know, you're just not giving them enough time, or whatever, vice versa, can the injunction still be served?
Well, sure, and perhaps it requires to be severed, perhaps a new complaint to be filed, but at that point in time, the cause of action will be drafted, it would just need to be updated, and certainly the city can file its own lawsuit and proceed unilaterally without, the city has standing. In other words, you're asking a standing question. This incident occurred wholly within Dunnellon, the nuisance occurred in Dunnellon. Certainly the city has standing under the statute to compel action via nuisance abatement. So yes, if there is a disagreement between stakeholders, then the city could proceed unilaterally.
All right, thank you, sir. Again, I have nothing but good faith that everything will go well.
Anything else, Valerie?
Yes, sir.
Rex?
Okay, so I just wanna make sure I'm clear on this. So, because normally when I hear an injunction, it means to stop something. So the injunction is part of the lawsuit that we're gonna be filing.
It would be the remedy that the lawsuit is requesting.
Okay, so
It would be a suit for injunction, a suit requesting that the court compel the defendant to take a certain course of action.
okay.
Yeah.
Could this injunction have the opposite effect? Could it cause CSX to have to stop, involve their legal team? Instead of moving forward right now with the progress that we're seeing, with our understanding of the progress that is getting ready to happen. And we're hearing that progress from both the leadership of CSX. We're also hearing that process, that message, many times, a better place to get the message from the people on the ground that gotta make it happen. Both of them are singing from the same song page, so that's comforting. The person that has to make it happen has been told to be ready, to expect this, expect that, and get ready to handle it and make it happen. So that tells me that the communication between the leadership and all the little pieces in between the leadership and the person on the ground that has to make it happen is actually in place. Now what I'm worried about is, especially when I see two believe people in front of me shaking their heads no, I am very worried that this could have be a boomerang and have the opposite effect, that now due to legal concerns and have to take on the legal side of this, that the real progress out there in the field has to stop until the legal folks all decide what their next step is. And if that is the case, myself, I would rather see, this mess continue to get cleaned up than to be stopped by legal action.
To answer your question, I wouldn't see it as a barrier or to, create an instance where CSX would be motivated to stop their cleanup. Essentially, when the case is filed, it sits in the court and it doesn't become, there's no action going on in the case. There's no requirement for CSX to answer the complaint until such time as the complaint is actually served. And so the discussion with CSX, and I understand the county's been in regular contact with CSX Council, would simply be, hey, we appreciate the fact that, if everything is going the way that it should be, we appreciate the fact that you're doing all that you can, or you're complying and you're doing what you're saying you should be doing as far as cleanup goes. In the event, however, that takes a turn and we don't see that progress, then this is a remedy we would pursue and it would be pre-filed. So it's not, it wouldn't be in a situation where the legal department of CSX has to even address it until such point that an issue arises, until such point that the parties, the plaintiffs to the lawsuit actually serve the complaint on CSX.
Okay, that's actually gonna be
Or other parties.
listening to you, that was gonna be my next question, just due to my ignorance with injunctions. So CSX and the other parties, they're not with this injunction, it's basically just gonna be an on record, basically a bullet sitting in the chamber type thing, but they're not gonna be served with anything that they have to react to?
Correct. Essentially, what has been discussed is simply filing the lawsuit, but not moving forward with the lawsuit until such time as unsatisfactory progress, until progress is unsatisfactory. In other words, as we've heard from the discussion, and as you said, Councilman, we're in the early stages. It seems like there's a plan to move forward and get things cleaned up. That plan is developing. It's being talked about. It sounds really good. It appears that it's coming together from what I'm hearing. This simply sits out there in case that doesn't come to fruition, and then the city has some teeth, and the county has some teeth to start getting a jump on, requiring that the action occur via the legal process.
Thank you, Andrew.
Very welcome.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more question.
Yes, go ahead.
Mike Valerie, before I vote on anything,
Anything else, sir? Please.
No, sir, I guess just reading it as well.
Well, we can produce it, for reading.
I do not have a copy of the injunction yet.
Andrew, do you have a copy of it?
Pardon me, my mic was off. Mayor, there is no injunction that exists or would exist until a court ordered an injunction. Essentially, what would be occurring right now is the drafting of a complaint to be filed requesting an injunction. And that's what would be sitting out there. So while the county may have been working on a complaint, I'm not quite sure what the status of that is. There is not a complaint that is ready to be submitted or for any type of viewing. And I have not drafted or worked on a complaint. I have not received council authorization to do so. So I have not seen the draft complaint or any portion of the draft complaint or worked on creating or contributing to a draft complaint. Only discussing the concept and possibility of a lawsuit to compel action if it is ultimately needed for your determination.
So that it's not like we're voting on a particular issue that's defined. It's not defined at this point. All we're doing is we have the option. So basically,
Correct.
from a
Correct.
layman's term. Is that correct, Andrew?
So,
Correct. The authorization, or what essentially the action would be needed from council is to authorize city attorney and city staff to work with the county and the city's partners in creating a complaint for the injunction for a suit under Chapter 60 requesting nuisance abatement.
So does my motion need to be a change?
For accuracy, it would be best to do so, simply because we don't have an injunction, we're not there yet, and we would not have an injunction unless it was granted by a court. We're just creating a complaint, requesting an injunction, and to file, but not to serve until essentially you provided that direction at some future point, if you were to do so.
And that would be the council's discretion anyway.
So basically, so Andrew, make sure I'm thinking of saying, oh, go ahead, sir.
Well, we're still in
Oh,
discussion.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. We're still in discussion. There's been a motion on the floor in a second. We're in discussion. We can turn this one down and we can, process another motion. If that's what you'd like to do, and then we can correct it as to what Andrew stipulated. If that's okay with the council.
Mr. Mayor, I will withdraw my motion.
All right. Well, there's a motion on the floor in a second. Let's just vote on this and then we'll go on and recreate another motion. That would be the best thing to do, and this is clear.
Ultimately, if there's a motion on the floor, then and there'll be a vote. Of course, you would need to go to public comment.
That's where I was.
That's where I'm going with this, but we're still in discussion now, Andrew. I will do that.
Okay, pardon me, Mayor.
Does everybody understand what we're doing now? We have a motion on the floor, we have a second, we have discussion. And so what you'd be voting on is, if you so choose to, defeat this motion, and then we'll come back and make another motion and phrase it in the fashion that we were requesting. Is that understood? You understand?
But we still have to take public comment before we even.
Yes, we're not in that phase yet. I'm trying to explain, we are in comments right now.
Right.
May I make a suggestion? Rather than withdrawing the motion, amend your motion, and that way you don't have to accept public comment once, take a vote, make another motion, accept public comment again, take a vote. I would just amend the motion according to what Andrew, the way he phrased it, to allow the county attorney and the city attorney to work together along with their staff to come up with the, complaint that would be filed. Andrew?
And that's fine, and to hold it in abeyance until such time as council further directs.
That's what I would like to make to amend my motion.
Second.
All right, there is a motion on the floor. Does everybody understand what's taking place here, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes.
All right, so we are amending the motion. There's been motions from the original motion to amend the motion to that wording that we just discussed. And now we have a second. Now we go into any further discussion from the council. Any further discussion? Anybody else have anything else before we?
Before we vote I'm very comfortable with the motion as it was said, to allow staff and to work with the county, and our attorney to create the complaint. But before we approve the complaint getting filed, I would like to read the complaint, have an opportunity to read it, so I know exactly what I'm voting on this for.
Well, it will be before the council to make that decision. It will come before us, so we will have it before any action taken. The next step would be from the council. In other words, before anything else could take place, it would come before us.
And before anything takes place, meaning it being filed.
That's correct.
Cool, guys, thank you.
Yes, okay. Anything else, Tim? Please? I'll entertain, public comment now on this particular item. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this particular item?
I have Scott, Matthew, Bud.
Scott?
That's me, but hold my comments for it's not specific to the injunction.
Okay. Jim Peterson? Jim Peterson?
Stepped up for a second when you're at that.
Jan Hubbage?
Are we speaking besides the injunction that they?
The motion that they made is to move forward with filing, a complaint along with the county for an injunction. That's what's on her plate right now.
Is that all full
Leslie Babington?
I'll send back.
Oh, Jim?
Is this in regards to just the injunction, because that's what we're speaking on? Okay, unless this is in regards to the junction, right? And if it's not in regards to the junction, we'll take public comments later, so you're standing, so you must want to talk about the injunction.
I just have a question. If it is filed,
We'll come forward, and if you come forward and speak in the microphone and be recorded.
sorry,
That's fine, you're welcome, we're glad you're here.
I just have a question. If it is filed, is it gonna be filed in a federal court or is it filed in the state court?
Andrew?
State court.
Thank you.
Ma'am, we need your name.
My name is Susan Panero.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak on this one?
Leslie Babington?
What are we talking about? What are we speaking on?
The injunction, just about the injunction.
Is there anything in the injunction that
You
is
need to
going?
come, sir, you need to come to the mic if you want
Will I
to
be able to address later then?
speak. Yes, sir.
Is there anything going to be in this lawsuit that addresses damages done to the people, health-wise and property-wise?
That's right.
That's my question.
Thank you, sir.
Defer.
Donnie Seven? I don't have anyone else signed up, sir.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this item? Please.
Hi there, Christina Reichert with Earth Justice, and I'm here representing the Rainbow River Conservation and Sierra Club. And I agree and support the city's joining of this litigation as a pressure tool to make sure that CSX moves quickly to do the cleanup for this site. The only question I have, and something for the city to consider, is setting in advance. Where are you gonna draw the line? Like, is it 30 days, nothing has happened in terms of moving the ties, 60 days? I think having a clear border would help to, give the community some peace of mind that this is gonna move forward and that, there's action that will take place. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, hi, Lieutenant Briggs. My question is, with this injunction, and the lady that just was up here, she mentioned about a time frame, and that was part of my question, if there is another incident of fire, with this injunction, does it stop this injunction and start over? Or does it continue on before the finalization of all of these ties being moved?
Andrew, did you hear that question?
I did. So addressing a few comments, and since some comments are a bit tied together, as far as a schedule and so forth for cleanup, I understand that's under discussion right now. I am not personally having those conversations, but certainly whether or not the lawsuit advanced from being filed to being served would be dependent on what the outcome is of those discussions and what the plan is. Still, it's early in the process. It's a little bit later than it was obviously last week, but those details are forthcoming. I am not personally aware of them, so I cannot comment on them. As far as how the injunction would, if it were to be granted per se, go through the process, and first there would be a temporary injunction, and then hopefully a permanent injunction, which would just be direction to clear up or clean up the area and do the remedial the things that need to be done to clean up the site. I don't have all the details and exactly what the prayer would be for in the complaint to deal with that. At this point in time, we're just talking about the concept of creating a complaint, to apply pressure in the event that things are not going as they should. But certainly if there were to be another repeat fire or something along those lines, that's still a need for cleanup, and that could potentially, require that the action be served earlier. Also might require a change to the way the complaint is couched in terms, because there's going to be factual recitations and so forth. So at this point, I think everyone can be rest assured that all that is up for discussion is just the two stakeholders, the city and the county, requesting permission from their legislative boards to move forward and drafting a complaint for consideration of the respective boards to deal with the issue should a solution not, a satisfactory solution be foreclosed upon by a failure to act on CSX and their stakeholders' parts.
Anyone else? Yes, Patrick?
Ron Gamble, 405 Northwest 4th Street, Ocala. Is there anything that is being considered in this injunction that is actually punitive for not complying with our requirements of the request of this situation?
Did you hear that one, Andrew?
Yes, this injunction is simply would be an action under Chapter 60 requiring nuisance abatement. In other words, just to deal with the situation, and if there's a failure to clean up satisfactory, to continue to clean up. This is not a punitive action to essentially, punish, or there are other actions that could be commenced by by other individuals and organizations that have standing. But this is simply a nuisance abatement, or would be a nuisance abatement case if it proceeds.
The reason for my question is it sounds like we are trying to work with an organization that has agreed to work with us. Sounds like we are a big dog with no teeth. If we can't punish the folks that we're trying to issue the injunction against, then maybe our best option is to try to be nice to them and work with them. Because we have to figure out how to get them to accept responsibility for the crossties and all of the other issues that have arisen as a result of the fire and of having them in the community. And thank you.
I agree with you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this particular item? Yes, Bill?
Making sense.
Bill White, 12111 Palmetto Way. Just like to make a few comments on this injunction. Number one, this issue has grown exponentially, far beyond what it originally was. The grinding process and the illegal storage of material and getting it out of here and stopping the grinding is one thing. But this is really a multiple of 10 now with the fire and the pollution that's ongoing. So I support, RRC would certainly support reaching out to the county and joining with them in every way we can. Now, my question is on the injunction, and I think council is a little uneasy with it in that it is conceptual, that we're gonna develop something that is a tool that can be used in the future. But within the injunction, are there things answered like timelines? When is the completion date?
That's right.
Are you gonna test? And if you're gonna test, who's gonna test? And is it an outside source? What is the remediation if there's problems after the fact? Who's accountable? Who's responsible? And the question would be, as the attorney says, if you determine you're not satisfied with the results, then you can pull the trigger. Well, who is it that determines if they're satisfied with the results? Who determines, and what is the parameters? What are the bases by which you are determining whether you're satisfied with the results or not? This conceptually is fine. It's good, it's good. But I would hope that along with the injunction, there's some steps in it that you will know whether or not to, just simply, I don't think they're doing it right, or I thought they were gonna do more, or why aren't they doing this, why aren't they, let's pull the trigger. So I'm not really too much of an understanding of how that works, but certainly joining the county in the concept of an injunction I support. And as Vice Mayor asked a lot of questions that started to connect it for me, as long as this document comes back to council in its completed form, with all those answers there, then you can decide whether you want to do it. But if this is just gonna fill in the blanks and it's not gonna be examined once it's put together, I think that would be a mistake. I wouldn't support it unless I knew what I was voting for. So we're for the concept. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, council members, my name is Cliff Dale. I live in Tallahassee, Florida. I'm currently serving as the vice chairman of the Florida chapter of the Sierra Club. We became aware of this crisis when we heard about a request from Trackline for a air quality permit, and we got very concerned. We're obviously a huge supporter of the Rainbow River, one of the most pristine rivers in the state. I also serve as the actually the chair of the chapter's Environmental Justice Committee. And we learned through our connections here, our folks we met, about the impact on the neighborhood of Chatmire, which is a historic generational black community that's very close to where these tides were placed. I completely sympathize with you and your position today and the county. A little bit about my background. I served 4 terms on the Leon County Commission, 16 years. Condolences. I also had a 2-year period of serving as the president of the Florida Association of Counties a number of years ago. But I learned a lot about what's happening all throughout the state, including Marion County, Citrus County. We understand that the impact of a situation like this, just the tides being on the ground, presents a present danger, a present concern for water quality, air quality. We've heard various concerns about the folks from the neighborhoods, the adjacent neighborhoods. They can't walk out of the house. It's affecting their ability to breathe. Watery eyes, situations like that. Very, very alarming concern for the people's health. We are very concerned about issues of nature, of the critters and wildlife, but also human beings. And this is the situation about that. So I just wanted to say that we're here to support your request for the injunction. My understanding is because CSX is a national corporation that travels across state lines, I'm not sure if your attorney would agree, but to me, this appears to also have federal jurisdiction. It should be considered an injunction at the state level. It could likely be also imposed at the federal level. And thank you, I'll be available for any questions later on. Thank you. I also want to point out, I have a colleague of mine on the executive committee, Andrew Harris from Hillsborough County, who came up here today on his own accord because he's very concerned as well, as are we all. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this particular issue? We do have another point of time for public comment. So this is, I was reminded that you're not precluding your opportunity to speak. This is on the particular item we have before the vote. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. 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 Those opposed? Motion carries.
Walter, can I ask you something?
Yes.
I'm not very familiar with the procedure, but I did receive 2 or 3 emails from people asking the question, the gentleman who came up and asked about what procedure is in place for people who feel that they have suffered damage or loss right now, so that there can be accountability, so that that stuff can stop being documented. Is there what is the next step for that?
Andrew, did you hear that?
I did, Mayor. The next step for them, obviously I represent the city and so I can't comment or provide legal advice as to what the next step may be in that case. But individuals may of course consult with private attorneys and I can discuss that with staff. It was a topic of discussion, so if there is information, that's something that staff can disseminate, but not something that I can advise about at a public meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I think Mandy has a message for you.
I have just been informed that Mr. Greg Camuso, Vice President of CSX, is with us now currently. And if it's the council's wishes, I would like to allow him, if he would like, to make a statement. Council, any objection?
No, but I do want to, if I may interject, sir. Promise Craig is that this will not turn into everybody's anger management program. Not a dark throne. We will maintain decorum in this venue. Craig is, he's not the one. He didn't bring him in here in his car. He didn't drive the railroad. He got tapped on the shoulder to clean this mess up. So he is here to help clean this mess up. And I ask that everybody treat him from that aspect. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate your comments.
I agree with that, that we waive the time limit so that he can have as much time as he needs.
Okay,
Oh, absolutely not.
anything on that, Bruce? Is there any problem? I will add this comment before Mr. Camuso addresses our city. I have dealt with him since this issue arose. I wrote the president of CSX a personal letter and asked consideration in this matter. I received a reply from the president, and Mr. Camuso has been the appointed individual representing CSX the entire time that I have worked on this issue. He has fulfilled every opportunity of cooperation with everything that I've come forward with in this entire episode. I have nothing but utmost respect for Mr. Camuso and his efforts from CSX. And at that point in time, you have the floor. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the
members of the city council, as well as citizens. My name is Craig Cuse. I'm the Regional Vice President for State Government Affairs with CSX. I do want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk. The first thing I'd like to say is to the question regarding who do you go to. We have set up a line that is through our toxicology people that we have are working with on this. And if you have any feelings of even from a concern for your property, as well as concern most importantly for your health, you may call this number and they will talk with you. The number is 1-888-479-6583. 888-479-6583. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak, and I know there'll be a public hearing period. And I will tell you that myself, I'd like to introduce Peggy Smith, our Director of Community Affairs, Coley Campbell, who is here and has been on the ground was on the ground on Sunday, and has been working through some of the first to help to contain the fire, and now working towards the remediation. We're here to listen to you. The safety and security of the citizens of the city is our #1 priority. And I know we sat here and we talked a lot about, from a legal standpoint, I listened to the comments about the injunction. If CSX is here to get this cleaned up. That's what we're here. Not only that, but with our partners with track lines, as well as with the FNOR. We initially were granted a continuance, I guess, back in early January with the understanding that we would continue to get the ties moved out. And prior to last Sunday, we had moved out about 17,500 ties. Most of those have been moved out by rail. Some had been moved out by truck. Since the fire certainly halted some of that, because obviously the priority at the time was to make sure we had the fire extinguished, we have started to move the ties again. We have loaded 12 cars and that were shipped out yesterday, and that totaled about 5,000 to 6,000 ties. We can't really sit there and count them all, but about 5,000 to 6,000 ties. We have 57 more cars that are en route that should be here possibly as early as tomorrow, but definitely by the middle of the week. They will be loaded and those ties will be moved out. We'll continue to do that until all the ties are gone. The day of the fire, we mobilized several third-party environmental consultants to initiate our site stabilization, our fire suppression support, and also to begin immediate monitoring activities. And over the next few days, the smoldering ties were continuously monitored. They were repositioned at some time to prevent reignition. We wanted to make sure we contained the fire. And the fire was officially extinguished out on February 3rd at about 10:20 in the morning. We were on site through the duration. We have maintained active communication with both state and local agencies to coordinate fire suppression and environmental monitoring and safety activities. We are also cooperating fully with the Department of Agriculture, as they are the ones that are investigating the cause of the fire. We do not know what the cause of the fire is at this point. Air monitoring was conducted continuously while the fire was active, and for 24 hours after that. We had no elevated readings of any detection during that time. Now, one thing that was brought up, once we start the remediation of the soil there, and Coley is one of the people that's overseeing that. We will again have air monitors up. These will be stationary air monitors that will be situated around the area where the soil is going to be excavated to assure that there's no elevated levels. Now, I spoke to the Vice Mayor this afternoon, and to his request, and we have committed that the neighborhood, the adjacent neighborhood, which is, forgive me, it's escaping me right now, Green Cove? Blue Cove, I'm sorry, I knew it was a color. I apologize. That we will conduct monitoring there in the neighborhood. What I would suggest to you, that if you are concerned about your property, that you call that number so that we can have a record of it. That's the reason for the number. If you could call that number, and I'll be happy to give that number out again if you'd like, but call that, because I did tell the vice mayor that we would certainly do that. The other key player in the cleanup is the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, DEP. We've been discussing, we submitted an outline of our action plan to begin the cleanup, and I was told today at 3 o'clock, DEP approved that plan. So that plan will start tomorrow. That is when, in addition to what the monitoring that we've already done. As far as the soil sampling goes and the regional oversight for the excavation activities of the target area, it'll be about 1,150 feet long. It'll be 95 feet wide. We will excavate, if we need to, up to 2 feet of soil that would be removed. They will be secured, and then this area will be backfilled. And like as I mentioned, we'll have the air monitoring systems in place as we are doing this. Let's see. Surface water samples. They'll be collected from locations both on the south and east side of the affected site, and they will be analyzed using specific EPA methods. And we have, that will begin. That took place on Saturday. So that took place Saturday. Do we know if we have those results back yet?
Those results will be back sometime tomorrow.
Okay, the results will be back sometime tomorrow on that. We did, like I said, I do want to thank the city, I want to thank the county, emergency management for the work that they did in working with us. And we know that we're at the very beginning of this. We know we're at the beginning of this remediation. And, whether we have an injunction filed against CSX or Trackline or FNOR, I can speak for the company, it makes no difference. We're here to get this fixed. We are here to get this worked out. We understand, listen, I live less than a mile from a CSX line. If I had a neighborhood that had an impact like this, I feel the exact same way that y'all feel, 100%. As a matter of fact, I've had issues in my neighborhood that have come up, and I'm there at the top, raising Cain. So I get that. And I will tell you that the company understands that as well. We will be here tonight. We will answer your questions, any questions that you have. If I don't have an answer for you, we will get you an answer. We will get you an answer, but we're not going to go anywhere. We will all sit down now, Mr. Mayor, and I know you have other people that would like to talk, but thank you for allowing us to be here, and we look forward to working with the city as we move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So we appreciate very much your presence here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I have one more item I'd like to ask the council. The Vice Mayor has suggested that he might make the perfect choice, or the best choice among the council, I should say, is a follow-up representative from the council on this issue. Is that something that the council wants to consider?
Yes, sir, that would be fine, but I guess he'll work hand in hand with Ron, and then. Yeah, I'm fine with that. And the only thing, of course, I know, if you get a document that you're gonna mark up, you're the best.
Anything, Reese, comment on that? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move Councilman Linsky be appointed the liaison for the railroad tie-ins.
There's a motion on the floor, and a second discussion. Anyone from the public like to make a comment on this particular item? Yes, David.
Dave Porter, 11835 East Blue Cove Drive in Dunnellon. A little bit of my background. I was the operations shift manager at the Crystal River Nuclear Plant for 30 years, from junior to 10. In my role, I was not only in charge of the control room operations, but I was in charge of any emergency operations up to and including evacuations up to a 50-mile perimeter. So over those 30 years, I was trained, tested, evaluated, And I have a lot of experience in various emergencies. So I'd like to share my experience with the city because I think, as Tim mentioned, this situation is just like a nuclear release, where it's not seen, but there's contamination spread all over the place. And if it's not handled properly, it can be spread everywhere. So some of the key things is, first of all, command and control. You gotta have one person with skin in the game that is in the command and control for the city. It doesn't mean he makes all the decisions, but he makes sure that everybody's talking and that we have equal communication. And then when people make commitments, that those commitments are made on time. And I think that Tim is an excellent resource to the city. You don't even understand probably how lucky you are to have a project manager with so much background in the nuclear industry. So I highly suggest that Tim, I know you hate me, would be that person to communicate with all the entities, because it's very easy for somebody thinking they're doing a good job is making a huge mess and spreading this, not only all over the city, but all over the county. And so command and control is important, roles and responsibilities, written down. What am I in charge of? Because if you don't do that, then people that you're depending on to do something, when it comes time, they'll point their fingers and say, that wasn't me, that's somebody else. So roles and responsibilities are real important to write down. And then all the commitments for the plans that you're trying to achieve needs to be written down and communicated to all the people in the city so we understand. All the sampling that's done, all that needs to be communicated to the city. Because with my experience, I live in Blue Cove, and I haven't been back in my house since the fire. So that puts a little bit of what I think about the situation, because there's particles that's been spread everywhere, and I don't think anybody is doing any smear samples and analyzing the particles. So until we get information back, I can't tell my kids and grandkids that are real young that it's safe to come. So we need to communicate with all the residents of facts and information. Thank you.
Anyone else like to comment on this action by the council to appoint Vice Marion to? I'm not seeing any hands. All right, yes, Jan?
Jan Cubbage, we're at 1825-5 Southwest 484. For those of you who know me, you might know that I'm a retired science teacher from Dunnellon High School. I taught earth science and biology, but my passions really are in geology and soil science. And many of you know that we've been talking cleanup, 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 and nobody is talking containment. When there is an industrial spill, or there is a toxic chemical accident of some kind, first you extinguish the fire, okay, if the fire is related. And the next step should be containment of these toxins. None of this things we are talking about is related to the fact that what is out there is not staying in place. We just had an 1.5 inch rain 4 nights ago, and I sat up in bed at 4 a.m. and said, there's no containment out there of these toxins. And those containment procedures exist, and they should have been started immediately. And that they are as follows. You get a bulldozer out there and you put up a berm around the site where the elevation is going down toward our river and toward the neighborhood of Blue Cove. That berm, okay, that berm, when you dig it down to about 4 foot, it collects the toxic water. Okay, what do you do with that toxic water? There are industrial-sized absorbent mats. Okay, you can go online and take a look at it. They are used all the time. They were used for the oil spills that washed oil up on the shores of Louisiana, Florida, and so on during the that huge episode we had with the platform breakdown in the Gulf that spilled millions of oil out there. What did they do? They started collecting the pollutant. That should have been started. I would think that a $3 billion corporation, $2 billion corporation like CSX should have been on it immediately. A toxic site starts with containment before cleanup begins. It's not too late to start that containment. Okay, we have a highly permeable soil structure. Our soil profile is as such because it's been a disturbed area. Topsoil that usually absorbs the pollutants because there's a lot of organic material to hold it like a sponge probably doesn't exist out there. So these toxins are already moving down into your water movement, and it's moving toward the river. It's moving toward the neighborhoods, which means their lawns could be contaminated with arsenic and that whole list of toxic chemicals that are associated with creosote. When it goes beyond Blue Cove, where's it going? We have wetlands along our Rainbow River. Once that stuff reaches it, it's gonna stay there forever. There's no such thing as removal. And what does that mean? Every form of wildlife, starting with the smallest microorganisms, will, their consumption, because there's a food chain out there, all of those chemicals, and I'm thinking arsenic right now, because I was at a meeting in Cal where we were talking about arsenic in our water here in our area. That all these chemicals move up the food chain. It's bad news, folks. Containment can start now. It should have been started immediately. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. So this is, ladies and gentlemen, there will be an opportunity for public comment. What we're taking public comment on now is the council's action to appoint Vice Mayor Inskeep as our main point person in this issue. So she will get a chance to address the council. I promise you that from the very start. But if you would wait, if you have comments that they're not pertinent to his appointment to this position, would you just wait? Let's get this motion out of the way. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this motion? Yes, Bill?
Bill White, 12115 Palm Meadow Way. I know every member of this council fairly well. And out of the 5 of you, truthfully, I cannot think of a better person than Tim Inskeep for this type of job. If there's someone you want to go out there and get to people's faces, ask tough questions, follow up, not back down, look you in the eye and say, I'm not leaving until I get the answers I want. There's your man.
Anyone else like to speak on this particular item? Anybody? I call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion unanimous. Thank you, Tim, for your efforts, what you've done so far, and taking on this task. I look forward to reviewing everything that you put forward. Ladies and gentlemen, you do understand that Tim will be working on this item. There will not be a communication between Tim or any member of this council except in public meetings. We have a sunshine law that dictates that cannot take place. So Tim will be reporting to open meetings when he needs to address these issues. So they will be noticed, and you will be available to speak and participate in those meetings when the reviews come in from his efforts. So there will be no action taken by this council without public knowledge. And as I said, the sunshine law dictates that we do not communicate other than in public meetings. So the idea that somehow, if you were in a business structure, Tim would be responsible, and then he would, if he had an issue, he would come to me as the mayor and say, this is what I think you should do on this particular item. That's not the case in this particular situation, because this is a governing body. So that won't happen. But he will be, I am sure he'll be diligent in his efforts, and he'll do a good job representing our city as we move forward on this. So, yes, Dan.
Real quick, Jan, you had a good point with containment, stuff like that. One thing I want to make sure, if anybody, you can ask Mandy, Chad, Will's not here, Michelle, this entire body. I promise you I'm going to make mistakes. And if you see something that's not happening, call Mandy, email, or whatever. I promise you, we'll switch gears, get on it, that type of thing. Again, Jan brought up containment, that type of stuff. Sort of happened a week ago, blah, blah, blah. The other thing I want to assure you all is, this is not a political stunt on my side. I have 9 months to go in this position, and I have no intention whatsoever of refilling this position. It's been a fantastic 3.5 years that I've served, and I just want to let you know, this is not, hey, vote for me again, next cycle. That's not what this is. Again, you see anything that's not happening, should change, please follow. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jim. Now we'll move on to public comment. This will be a public opportunity to participate in everything you've seen tonight. And if you'd like to pose a question to Vice President Camuso, he is going to grant you that opportunity, and he's going to be reflecting on what the situation is with the question. So we'll start in. Randy, do we have anyone signed up for that?
Yes, Scott, Matthew.
Welcome, Scott.
Good evening. Good evening. Scott Matthewman, 19301 Southwest 60th Street. I just want to first off thank everybody for taking the time and giving us the opportunity to speak on this matter. I just had a couple things I wanted to point out. Some of them have already been spoken about, like containment. That was one of the main things I thought of.